What's up, y'all? Shook here, back with another video on the Holy Paladin, doing some 3v3 with Sorgal and Plum. Plum was playing his Windwalker and Sorgal was playing his Enhancement Shaman. This is the build that I was running for most of the games. In some of them, I would swap out Faith's Armor for improved Blessing of Protection if they didn't have an offensive Dispel or something like that. Something like a DK Warrior team, like TSG. These are the PvP talents I was running. I would swap out Ultimate Sacrifice for Searing Glare versus some of the teams, and Divine Vision I would also drop sometimes for Searing Glare. I tried out spreading the word a couple times. It's pretty terrible. But so these are the main three PvP talents that I was running. That's about all I have to say about the build, so let's get into the game. So this first game is versus a boomkin and a demon hunter. The MMR for these games was anywhere between 1800 and about 1970, I think, was the highest team that we faced. Anytime we got close to like 2K, we were facing really, really good teams and really good comps. And, you know, we hovered in between, you know, like I said, about 1800 to 1960. Plum's MMR was lower because he hadn't played any games on his Windwalker. And if you replace the Enhancement Shaman on our team with a DK, our comp becomes like infinitely stronger. I think it might be S tier. Like I think Unholy DK Windwalker is so strong right now. But our comp still kind of works. It just doesn't have the same disruptive power as the Walking Dead Cleave. We just do a lot of damage. So if we can just kind of, you know, out pressure the other team. But anyways, they overlapped on CC right there. You can see I'm kind of falling behind. We're a little bit even on mana. I'm going to go ahead and pop Daybreak here to see if I can top both Sorgal and Plum. He's still kind of dipping low right here. I don't think Plum was able to freedom me out of this root. So you see there, I think he was trying to freedom me and he accidentally freedom Sorgal. So kind of chaotic. He does clone him whenever I use my sacrifice. So that was a good heads up play by the Boomkin. And he's cloning me again low. I do get the lay on hands off in between the clones, and the Demon Hunter cages me. They're just putting out like a ton of pressure, and I'm just trying to catch up. I am winning on mana pretty handedly at this point, so if I can just keep Sorgal alive, I know we're going to win this. We do have Daybreak coming back up here in like 2 seconds. Sorgal goes ahead and pops his wall. I go ahead and pop Daybreak. And so right here, I kind of want to go and Hodge the Paladin now that both of them are topped, but I am off DR of most of the CCs, and the Boomkin knows it, so he's trying to like chase me around the corner. So I'm just trying to have line of sight until I get a good spot to where I can get a Hodge, because I don't want to super overextend here. So right here, I'm going to go in for the Hodge. Sadly, it was an overlap. The Demon Hunter and the Boomkin are on different pages, and he root beams me, but they also go for the kill on me. Plum does freedom me, and right here you can see Sorgal starts to dip low. This is kind of their big follow-up go here. So again, they overlapped again on me, so I'm just going to try and get away from this Demon Hunter. If he does get me any lower, I can swap Beacon to myself, but we're running that Paladin out of mana. I take the Demon Hunter behind the pillar, and I do blind him, and it gets his trinket. So right here, I'm trying to just kind of stay away from the Boomkin, because if it's just the Demon Hunter, I should be able to live if I switch Beacon to myself. And you did see I swapped the mini Beacon to me, and now they are swapping back to the DPS. I did get repented there. I had Hand of Sacrifice that I could have used, so that was kind of a misplay. I burned my trinket on the full clone just because it was going to be a full CC chain, and I used my Hand of Sacrifice. I went ahead and gave the Blessing of Summer to Sneedroff, and you can see he's about to do just a ton of damage. Anytime you can give your Windwalker the Blessing of Summer, it's going to just add on at least like 200 to 300k worth of damage pressure. And we do get the kill on the Boomkin, and we started to get Plum's MMR on up there. So this next game is going to be against a DK and a warlock. I think this comp is also pretty good. I think anything you can kind of mix and match with warlock and DK. Destro did take a little bit of a nerf over this last Tuesday, and these games are post inflation supposedly, but I couldn't actually tell a difference. Our MMR really didn't move because we were around the same, like 1800 to 1900 MMR. Maybe it went up like 20 or 30. So this paladin played like really aggro. I was able to sit that CC and not burn my trinket there, and I got his trinket. He also aura mastery to get that repentance. His warlock's wall is gonna fall here soon. I'm sitting this full fear. We're not even going to tremor it. We actually weren't in comms for a lot of these games, and the Pally is trying to cast Repent again. He does get kicked on that, and he uses Blessing of Protection on the Warlock here, and he's just playing like super aggro. We make a quick swap to the DK, and if we get him within touch of death range, we're just going to finish him, and we do actually get him right there. So that was a good quick swap by Sorgal and Sneedroff, especially considering the fact that they weren't in comms with each other. This next match I actually clipped down because it was so long. So I started about like, I don't know, like 45 seconds into the match. And it's against a Devastation Evoker and an Affliction Warlock. So kind of an interesting comp. We're going to do a lot of damage to this Affliction Warlock, but they can also pump out a lot of damage, and the Pally can also play like really defensive. He can play like max range and gets good value out of his infusion procs here. He's also running Repentance, which I think if you're healing double caster is fine. You can come see Plum. He's going to interrupt that Repentance right there. I'm going to Hodge once that interrupt is over with. I pop Land Hands because I was falling behind. This Affliction Warlock's doing a ton of damage. I actually go ahead and bubble here, and he does too, so we bubbled at the exact same time just so I could cast my Tears Deliverance. And again, I'm kind of falling behind on mana. I'm trying to make use of my infusion procs as best as I can, but with that Affliction Warlock just spreading pressure across both DPS, it's going to be really difficult for me to stay even on mana. I also can't dispel that Searing Glare unless the DPS doesn't have Unstable Affliction on them, because I will do a lot of damage to myself and silence myself. So I just kind of have to let those sit unless it's an opportune time when there's only one Unstable Affliction out. So right here you can kind of see the Warlock trying to, get a bunch of pressure. We do get the Paladin's Trinket right there. He does Hodge me, and I think we're going to get, no, they didn't get Plum's Karma there. He does look like he dampened, and Sorgal gets interrupted there, so they have no kicks available, and I go ahead and start to use my Infusion of Light procs. I see him cast Repentance, and so I use my Hand of Sacrifice, but it did get interrupted again. Kind of one of the issues with not being in comms for some of this. You have a little bit of overlap sometimes. So right here I do go ahead and blind the dragon, just to kind of stop a little bit of pressure. Probably a misplay on my part. He used Oppressive Roar on me, which is a 2-minute cooldown by them, so I go ahead and dispel and just eat the UA silence. Plum does go ahead and Karma here, and I'm going to run behind the pillar and cast Tears Deliverance. They have both their kicks back up, so this can get like really spooky, but we also have our Blessing of Summer back up, and I went ahead and gave it to Plum, so he's going to start doing a bunch of damage, but you can see the Searing Glare did get him. We actually have no outs because I just used my Trinket. That's kind of our last big out, and you can see that I'm also running behind on mana. We do make a swap to the dragon here, and I don't know if he has scales available, but if we get him in that touch of death range, again, and right there you can see just that big burst that we did at the end. That's kind of the goal of this comp, and really that's kind of the goal of like the Walking Dead Cleave, or like the Walking Dead Light. This next match, again, I cut off like the first 30 seconds because I didn't want it to be like an 8-minute match. So this was an interesting one. It's a Marksman Hunter Destro Warlock team. Marksman got a buff, Destro took a nerf. I actually could tell a lot of the Marksman buffs. They were doing a lot of damage. So I did juke his kick there, got precog, and I accidentally gave my Blessing of Summer to Sorgal, which is okay, but you really want to give it to your Windwalker if you're going to run this comp. Like, if you're an Enhancement Shaman, you don't have a lot of comps this season, just because I really don't think Enhance is all that great. Like I said, I think if you take Enhance on this comp and you turn it into an Unholy DK, our comp just becomes infinitely better. But it's kind of all about playing with friends and seeing where you can get. So right here we do get hit with the Searing Glare. Sorgal is just getting dangerously low, so I do go ahead and bubble. I am running Ultimate Sacrifice versus this comp because, again, like just super crazy heavy burst, and you want to be able to negate some of that damage. And so right here I'm going to walk behind the pillar, cast Tears Deliverance. You can see them just chunking Sorgal's health like every few seconds. Surprisingly, we are pretty much even on mana. I would say I'm actually kind of ahead because I'm about to get my Blessing of Winter. I think he's ahead. He has his Blessing of Winter rolling right now, and I haven't even cast mine yet. So here in a second, I'm going to Hodge him whenever that Hand of Sacrifice fades. He does use his Human Racial to get out of that, and I'm going to Dispel Sorgal, get him out of that Hodge. He uses Grounding here. There's another Searing Glare that comes out. I don't have Dispel for Plum, unfortunately. I do go ahead and cast Blessing of Winter, and it's kind of getting a little sketchy because we're kind of running low on cooldowns. Plum uses Dampen there. I don't know who the hunter kicked, but it wasn't me, so maybe he was kicking Sorgal or he fat fingered it. I'm not sure which one it was. Right here I was trying to taunt his pet, so I have a taunt macro, keybound to 3, and I was trying to hit it to taunt his pet there, but I was a little bit too slow. I think that happened like twice in this match where I was like, oh, he's about to trap and I need to taunt his pet, and I was just like a little bit too slow on it. Sometimes that will work and the pet will knock you out of the trap. Sometimes the hunters just have their pet commands keybound into a lot of their spells and abilities, and it won't work, so you never just know. It's different for each hunter. So right here I do get a blind on the pally. We have our sack back up, and I should have dispelled Plum right there instead of running to go get Tears Deliverance, just so we could keep our pressure rolling, because we have pressure on everything right here. We have fallen back behind on mana. We're kind of even. I think right here if I just use all the infusion procs good, then I should win on mana, but it's so hard when they have 2 ranged kicks and they don't really have anything to kick, minus if like Sorgal casts a Hex. So right here I think we are going to get the kill on the Warlock. I did try and bop out of that pet stun, but I was a little too slow on it. I get hodged and feared, and like right here this is Trimmer, and I get blinded, so they're just like pumping all the CC, and I do give the Blessing of Summer to Plum real quick. We are topped. They don't really have anything left, and any team can burst the other one down. I don't have my blind for the pally, but he just doesn't have any kind of big defensives left. So like right here I do get Holy Log, Sorgal gets to 1%, and Plum tosses a heal, he tosses a heal, and then I'm able to pick him back up. So crazy close match. All these games were pretty fun. Like I said, I don't know if the MMR inflation has happened much. I'm not sure about all that. It actually felt worse in Solo Shuffle, but let me know what you guys thought about these games. Hope you enjoyed them. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe, drop a like on the video, helps me out a ton, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.